I walked into the living room, holding flowers, and found her straddling a man who smelled like motor oil. A mechanic, still in his greasy overalls. My girlfriend looked me in the eye and smirked, like I was the one interrupting them. That moment destroyed me, but also started something dark inside me. It was supposed to be a surprise. I left work early, picked up flowers, and even bought her favorite candy. She'd been distant lately, and I blamed myself. Maybe I was too boring, too predictable, too safe. So I wanted to do something sweet, something spontaneous. I still remember unlocking the door, smiling to myself like an idiot. "Babe," I called out. No answer. I stepped inside. The TV was on, volume low. Her purse was on the table. Shoes by the door. She was home. I walked through the hallway, already picturing her face when she saw the flowers. But then I heard something. A laugh. Not hers. His. I turned the corner into the living room, and there they were. She was on top of him, his stained work shirt wide open, grease all over his arms, his hands, even the couch. And her? She didn't even look surprised. She looked amused. "Oh," she said calmly, brushing her hair from her face. "You're home early." The man didn't even move, just looked at me like I was the intruder. I dropped the flowers. What is this?" I whispered. She tilted her head. "It's exactly what it looks like." Then she smirked. Not out of guilt. Out of confidence. "You always trusted me too much," she said, standing up, completely unapologetic. "That was your first mistake." I couldn't breathe. My chest felt hollow, my legs weak. "You said you loved me," I said quietly. She laughed. "I did. As much as you can love a puppy that follows you around all day. But let's be honest, you were always more useful than exciting." The mechanic stood up, stretched like he owned the place. "Dude," he said to me, "you might want to throw out that couch." She laughed harder. My vision blurred. Not from tears. From shame. From how stupid I felt. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just walked backward, out the door. Everything felt distant, like I was floating outside of my own body. That night, I sat in my car for hours. No music. No phone. Just silence. My brain kept looping the same moment, her smirk. His dirty hands on her skin. The sound of her voice calling me a puppy. I wanted to forget. But I couldn't. Because something in me broke that night. And in the silence, a thought formed. If she could laugh while breaking me, maybe I could teach her what it feels like to be shattered. I didn't block her. Didn't yell. Didn't even tell anyone. Because part of me still hoped it was a mistake. That maybe she regretted it. That maybe I was worth fighting for. I messaged her the next day. "Can we talk?" She replied instantly. "Sure. Come by." The tone was casual. Too casual. But I went. Of course I went. I stood at her door holding nothing this time. No flowers. No hope. She opened the door wearing sweatpants and that oversized hoodie I bought her last Christmas. "I thought you said you never wanted to see me again," she said, crossing her arms. I looked at her. At the face I still, stupidly loved. "I just want to understand why," I said. She rolled her eyes. "You really need it explained?" "Was it me?" I asked, voice trembling. "Was I not enough?" That's when she smiled. That same smirk. "You were safe," she said. "Predictable. Like a cup of warm water. And sometimes a girl wants something dirtier." She laughed at her own words. "I mean, look at you," she added. "You brought me flowers while I was literally on top of another man. That's who you are." I swallowed hard. "I was willing to forgive you," I whispered. "I still am." She looked at me like I had just said the most pathetic thing she'd ever heard. "You still are," she laughed. "Oh. Wow, you really don't get it." She took a step closer, stared me down. "You're not heartbroken," she said. "You're just addicted to being needed. And I don't need you anymore." I looked at the floor, my cheeks burning with shame. She wasn't done. "Honestly," she said, "I almost wish I hadn't cheated, just to see how long you'd crawl after me." I turned toward the door, ready to leave, but her voice stopped me. "Hey," she called out. I looked back. She grinned. "Tell your new girlfriend, if you ever get one, that I trained you well." She winked and laughed. I walked out. Again. But this time, something was different. Yes, I felt broken. Yes, I still hated myself for loving her. But under all that shame, something else was forming. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was a plan. Because in that moment, I realized something. She felt untouchable. Like she could say and do anything without consequence. And people like that? They only learn when someone finally teaches them a lesson. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But I made a silent promise to myself. She will feel what I feel. And when the time comes, she'll beg for forgiveness. Just like I did. She thought I was done, that I'd crawl away and cry in silence. And I almost did. But something shifted inside me. Not rage. Not hate. Just clarity. I stopped trying to understand her. Stopped trying to fix what was broken. Instead, I started watching. She was loud online, posting photos like nothing had happened. Her in cafes. Her in bed, messy hair, captioned, "Real mornings, real love." I recognized the stains on the shirt she wore. It was his. The mechanic. Grease-streaked even in the photo. They weren't hiding. They were gloating. I stared at my screen, heart pounding, but I didn't look away. Instead, I made a new folder on my laptop. Named it, Her Empire. I filled it with everything I remembered. Old texts where she bragged about cheating on her previous boyfriends too. They deserved it, she used to say. Screenshots of private group chats where she mocked people behind their backs, coworkers, friends, even family. One clip stood out. A screen recording of a voice note she once sent me, drunk, laughing. "If I ever get exposed, I'll just cry and say it was trauma. Works every time." I saved it all, piece by piece. I also started watching him. The mechanic. Didn't take long to find his real name. His record. He'd been fired twice, once for stealing parts from customers' cars, once for getting caught in the shop bathroom with a married woman. He had a suspended license, a court hearing for unpaid fines. And most importantly, he had a secret she didn't know about. A second girlfriend. I found her on social media, pretty, sweet-looking, lived 2 towns over. Posted photos with him weekly. Believed every lie he told. I followed silently, waiting. But I didn't want to attack them yet. Not directly. That would be too obvious. Too fast. So I focused on her. I remembered every weakness she ever confessed. Her fear of being alone. Her obsession with reputation. Her fragile ego, how she couldn't stand other women getting more attention. I started commenting under the posts of girls she hated, girls she considered rivals. Hyping them up. Tagging mutual friends. Quietly turning her own social circle against her, one post at a time. She noticed. She messaged me. "You okay? You're acting weird." I replied. "Just growing up." She left me on scene. Perfect. I was becoming invisible to her. And that's exactly what I needed. Because people like her only look down when they think no one's watching. And when she finally slipped, I'd be the one standing over her, holding every piece she dropped. It started with a DM. Not to her. To the other girl, the second girlfriend. The one who had no idea her man was sharing a bed with someone else. I didn't come at her like some bitter ex. I came with proof. Screenshots. Photos. A screen recording of a live video her boyfriend was tagged in, sitting next to my ex on her couch, his hand on her leg. And I ended it with just one message. "You don't know me, but I wish someone had done this for me sooner." She didn't reply. Not right away. But the next day, my ex posted something cryptic. "Some people are fake. That's all I'm gonna say." The smile in her photos? Gone. The mechanic? Nowhere to be seen. By the end of the week, I learned the girl had shown up at my ex's apartment. A full-blown screaming match on her doorstep. Neighbors recorded it. One even uploaded a blurry video online. My ex was humiliated, but she still didn't know who did it. That was key. She messaged me 2 days later. "Did you talk to anyone?" I waited, then replied. "About what?" She didn't respond again. Instead, she started trying to regain control, posting more, dressing bolder, pretending to laugh louder online. But her eyes were different now. I recognized that look. It was fear. And I wasn't done. Next, I sent an anonymous tip to a local influencer she used to be friends with. They had fallen out months ago, jealousy, petty gossip. My ex had once laughed about that girl's cheap fillers and fake brand bags. I passed along a few things she'd said. Screenshots. Anonymous, of course. 2 days later, that influencer posted a story. Funny how some people pretend to be angels while stabbing everyone in the back. She tagged my ex. Brutally. Publicly. Suddenly, my ex was on the defensive. Trying to do damage control. Commenting under posts she used to ignore. Sending messages to people she hadn't talked to in months. But it was too late. The image she'd built, polished, adored, admired, was cracking. And behind that smile, I knew she was panicking. Because for the first time, she wasn't in control of the narrative. I was. And the best part? She didn't even know who was behind it. She thought the world was turning on her. But really, it was just me. One quiet move at a time. The same way she once broke me. Laughing. Slowly. Ruthlessly. Now it was my turn. And I was just getting started. I should have known she'd retaliate. She always did. Losing control wasn't something she could tolerate. So she fought back. And this time, she didn't come for my image. She came for my heart. It started with a message from a girl I barely knew. We talked a few times online. Nothing serious. She messaged me. Hey, I heard some weird stuff about you. Thought you should know. She sent screenshots. Private conversations. Ones I'd had. Twisted. Cropped. Spliced. Suddenly, I was being painted as a manipulator. A stalker. Someone obsessed with his ex and threatening girls who talked to him. At first, I thought it was a prank. But then I realized the tone, the language, it was her. She'd taken our old texts, cut them up, reworded them, and sent them out to girls she knew I followed online. And worse? She told them I was dangerous. That I tried to hurt her. No proof. No context. But she didn't need truth. She had performance. One of the girls posted a vague story. Ladies, beware of guys who pretend to be healing, but are really hunting. Others reshared it. People started messaging me, accusing me of things I never said. Never did. I tried to explain. Tried to defend myself. But nothing sounded right. Everything I said looked like damage control. She had flipped the game again. Now I was the monster. And she? She posted a reel. Soft music. Her in the mirror. Red eyes, messy bun. Caption. Healing isn't linear, but I won't let fear silence me anymore. Hundreds of comments flooded in. You're so strong. Healing queen. Men like that don't deserve peace. I watched it in silence. She was weaponizing their sympathy again. Just like she said in that old voice note. All I need to do is cry at the right moment. The internet eats that up. And it was working. I lost 2 freelance clients that week. One said, we just don't want to be caught in any online drama. They didn't even ask what was true. Because perception had already done its job. I thought I was ready for war. But she changed the battlefield. Turned it into a place where I couldn't even see the bullets until they hit. I isolated again. Deleted apps. Shut off my phone. Sat in the dark wondering if maybe this was it. If maybe she really had one. Because how do you fight someone who rewrites reality? Someone who doesn't need facts, just tears and timing? I stared at the folder on my desktop. All the evidence I'd gathered. It didn't matter now. Truth wasn't enough. I needed something else. Something she couldn't twist. And I didn't know what that was. Not yet. But I knew this. I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. She had the crowd. The sympathy. The fake tears. But I had her history. And history doesn't lie. She thought she burned every bridge behind her. But people remember. Especially the ones she used and discarded. So I started reaching out. Quietly. One by one. Ex-friends. Ex-boyfriends. A former roommate. Even a girl she used to mock for having acne, now an up-and-coming blogger with a growing audience. I didn't ask for help. I just shared. Screenshots. Voice notes. Patterns. And I saw something shift. One of them replied, I always knew something was off about her. She did something similar to me. Another message back. I kept quiet for so long. Maybe it's time people knew who she really is. I didn't force anyone. I let the truth spread naturally. Like a fire. Whispers turned to questions. Comments under her posts went from Slay, Queen. To Wait, didn't you say something completely different last week? Her story started to crack. Then came the first real hit. A girl she once called her soul sister posted a video. Nothing dramatic. Just calm. I stayed silent for a year, but I think people deserve the truth. She didn't mention names. But the story was too specific to miss. Manipulation. Lies. Betrayal. She even hinted that someone faked a stalker story just to gain sympathy and attention. My ex didn't respond, but she turned off comments on all her recent posts. And I knew. She was scrambling. The final push came when one of her ex-boyfriends, someone she told me was abusive, posted a thread. Screenshots. DMs. Photos. Showing how she manipulated him, painted him as violent, and then used the lie to get sympathy from a new guy. Sound familiar? People started connecting dots. I didn't even have to say a word. She started losing followers. Brands pulled her name from collaborations. That pretty image she built? Cracking fast. She messaged me. This time, no games. What are you doing? I didn't reply. I didn't have to. The truth was finally louder than her fiction. And for the first time, she was defenseless. No tears could erase what people had seen now. No soft filter could hide the stories piling up. And me? I didn't feel victorious. I felt focused. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about balance. She threw me into the dark. Now I was showing her what that darkness really felt like. Just when I thought I had finally cornered her, she flipped the board. Again. She disappeared from social media for a full week. No stories, no posts. Just silence. I thought maybe it had worked. That she was finally retreating. But then came the return. A new profile. New name. New branding. Softer. More real. She wasn't the bold, sharp-tongued queen anymore. She was now the survivor of digital harassment. And guess who the villain was? Me. She released a long-form video, well-shot, emotional, gentle piano music underneath her voice. I left my old account behind because I couldn't handle the abuse anymore, she said, voice trembling just the right amount. I trusted someone with my past, and he used it to poison people against me. She didn't name me. She never does. But everything she said pointed directly at me. He started reaching out to people I had long outgrown, digging into my trauma, sharing screenshots from years ago without context, twisting things. She wiped a tear. They said I lied. But when you survive manipulation, sometimes your truth sounds messy. That doesn't make it any less real. The comments? Flooded. We believe you. Don't let the trolls win. I've been through the same. She had done it again. She didn't deny the past. She reframed it. Suddenly, her lies were trauma responses. Her manipulation? Survival tactics. And worst of all, she looked believable. Not because she was telling the truth, but because she knew how to cry. And people don't fact-check tears. Suddenly, my inbox was full again. Not with support. With threats. Leave her alone. Why are you obsessed with her? You're the reason people don't speak up. I was the villain again. Not because of what I'd done, but because of how well she played the victim. And the worst part? It worked. Her new profile grew faster than the old one. People wanted to believe in redemption. They wanted a story about a woman rising after being torn down by a toxic man. She gave them that. And me? I became the footnote in her hero's journey. Erased. Rewritten. Vilified. Again. And I started to wonder. Is this ever going to end? No matter what I did, no matter how much truth I shared, she twisted it. Bent the light until people only saw what she wanted them to see. She wasn't just manipulative. She was a master of reinvention. But something deep inside me whispered. Not this time. Because while she was busy rebuilding, I had found something she couldn't escape. Something real. And it was only a matter of time before I used it. She built a new version of herself. Framed herself as the survivor. The misunderstood. The spiritual healer who found light after darkness. But I found her shadow. And I dragged it into the light. It started with her old email. One she'd forgotten was still linked to an old Dropbox account we once shared. She used it back then to send herself drafts, posts, scripts, even fake DMs she planned to accidentally leak for attention. And I found it all. Unedited. Undeniable. There was a file titled, Victim_Plan 2. No joke. Inside? A full outline for a post she never got to publish, where she claimed she was being stalked, followed, watched. And the kicker? She listed what proof she would need to stage it convincingly. She was going to fake her own harassment, I whispered to myself. And blame it on me. There were even notes about when to post emotional selfies, and how long to wait before opening up to her followers about the trauma. She called it a slow burn strategy. It was all there. I stared at the screen, pulse racing. I knew what I had. This wasn't just ammunition. It was truth in its rawest form. And this time, there was no way to twist it. Because it was her words, her structure, her blueprint for deception. I sent the files anonymously to 3 people. 1. The influencer she'd recently befriended. 2. A mid-level journalist who had reshared her story. 3. The admin of a community forum she was gaining traction in. I didn't add a message. The files spoke loud enough. 2 days later, everything started to crack. Her name popped up in a viral thread titled, "Is the internet's new healing queen just a performance?" People were confused, then angry, then furious. What is this? Wait, this is her writing this? This is sick. Screenshots spread like wildfire. Her voice notes leaked. People clipped her laughing, mocking trauma victims, while planning to pretend to be one. The comment sections on her new page? Shut down. She deleted posts, went private, then silent. But the silence wasn't strength this time. It was collapse. Because this wasn't just about exposing her. It was about removing her mask entirely. And the world finally saw her for what she really was. Not broken, not healing, but dangerous. She tried to post once more. A shaky video. No filters. Red eyes. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it was too late. Nobody was buying it anymore. And I didn't feel triumphant. I felt done. But just as I was ready to walk away, I got a call. From her. No blocked number. No fake account. Just her voice. Trembling. Please, she whispered, barely audible. Don't do what I think you're about to do. And suddenly, I realized I still had one more move left. One that could end everything. After everything. The evidence. The exposure. She still found a way to stand back up. Not gracefully. Desperately. But it worked. She posted a final statement. Black background. White text. Clean. I've been targeted. My past was twisted. I'm stepping away from the internet, for my mental health. Thank you to those who stood by me. No apology. No ownership. Just strategy. She played her final card, the silent victim exit. And people bought it. Not all of them. But enough. They said things like, cancel culture is too much. Let her heal. She's human. The narrative shifted again. Not back to her favor fully, but far enough to give her room to breathe. And room was all she needed. She rebranded once more. Started a private coaching group. No longer public-facing, but hidden behind paid subscriptions. A safe echo chamber. She built a wall around herself. No criticism. No confrontation. Just curated control. And me? I was outside the wall, watching it all happen again. Some days, I asked myself, was it worth it? She didn't disappear. She didn't break. She adjusted. Like she always did. Like she always will. Because that's what people like her do. And for a moment, I felt like I lost again. She survived everything I threw at her. She was still standing. Still speaking. Still earning. Still winning. Until I got an email. Not from her. From someone who used to know her years ago. Back before I met her. She'd seen the drama online. Connected the dots. Wanted to share something. She sent me a file. A legal document. An NDA. Non-disclosure agreement. Signed by my ex. Dated years ago. Attached was a detailed description of why it was signed. She had been paid to stay silent about something serious. Something career-ending. Not gossip. Not screenshots. But a sealed case involving workplace misconduct. She broke the NDA when she built her new brand. Used stories from that time, twisted ones, as fuel for her public victim image. Which meant, if that paperwork ever reached the wrong hands, she wouldn't just lose her followers. She'd lose everything. Contracts. Clients. Her new business. Maybe even face a lawsuit. She hadn't just played with people's trust. She had broken a legal agreement. And suddenly, the game changed again. She thought she'd won. She thought she was safe. But there was one thing she didn't know. I had the one piece that could finally destroy her, for real. Not through drama. Not through exposure. But through the very system she manipulated. And now, the question wasn't could I end her. It was, should I? I had it. The final piece. A document with her signature. A legal contract she violated the moment she used those lies to build her new brand. She thought no one would ever find it. But I did. And with one click, just one, I could send it to the people she worked with. To the lawyer whose name was on the NDA. To the brand clients who still thought she was clean. It wouldn't be a scandal. It would be a collapse. Contracts revoked. Money gone. Credibility shattered. And this time, there would be no way back. No reinvention. No rebranding. Just silence. I drafted the email. Attached the file. Hovered over send. And that's when I got the knock at my door. I opened it. And there she was. No makeup. No filters. No phone in hand. Just her. Shaking. Eyes red. Tears already falling. I know what you found, she whispered. She stepped forward. Then dropped to her knees. Literally. On the floor. Begging. I'm not here to lie. I'm not here to talk my way out of this, she said. I know what happens if that gets out. I lose everything. Not just money. Not just followers. My job. My family. My future. She looked up at me. And for the first time, there was no performance. No script. No audience. Just real, trembling fear. I ruined your life, she said. I destroyed your peace. I lied. I mocked you. I broke you. And you have every reason to finish this. She choked on her words. But please, she whispered, hands clasped. Please don't do it. I'm begging you. Silence filled the room. All I could hear was her breathing, shaky and uneven. And I realized, this wasn't victory. This wasn't power. This was pity. She was already destroyed. Not publicly, but inside. She would never sleep peacefully again. Never speak without wondering if I'd finally pull the trigger. And maybe that was a better punishment than anything a court or scandal could do. I walked to my desk, deleted the draft email, closed the file. Her mouth dropped open in disbelief. You're not. I shook my head. I'm done. She broke, collapsed into sobs on my floor. I didn't comfort her, didn't speak again. I just watched her cry. Because that version of her, the one who laughed while I shattered, she wasn't here anymore. And me? I was no longer the broken, begging man at her feet. I had the last word. And now? You've heard the whole story. So let me ask you, what would you have done in my place?